All right, Ironheads, gather round your screen, because today at Ironhead Forge, I'm about to transform a hunk of lifeless metal into a knife sharper than your grandma's tongue after too much coffee. That's right, while you're out there binge-watching cat videos and pretending to adult, I'll be hammering away like a one-man apocalypse, forging something that could actually slice through your daily dose of mediocrity. All right, Ironheads, wipe the drool off your chins. You just got a sneaky peek at this beast of an Arkansas toothpick we're about to birth in this video. And guess what? It's rising from the ashes of some beat-up sawmill bandsaw blades, because why use fancy new steel when recycled junk can make you look like a forging god? But hold your applause. For this masterpiece, I'm skipping the boring canister prep and the initial forging foreplay. Nope. We're diving straight into hammering this bad boy into blade form like I know you're too impatient for the full romance. See, I whipped up this massive billet of Damascus steel, bandsaw blades layered with 1095 powder steel, because apparently I have nothing better to do than play mad scientist with metal. From that one glorious chunk, I had enough material to crank out 3 of these toothpicks. One flew off the shelves faster than your last diet resolution. The second? Sold 2. But the buyer got all starry-eyed over the extra bling on the first one, so they shipped it back like a rejected Tinder date, and I polished off the third one with all the fancy details they demanded. Boom. Now we're staring down the barrel of that very blade. Confusing as a politician's promise. Yeah, probably. But hey, life's too short for clarity. Let's bulldoze right past it and pretend you followed along. For these 3 blades, I had this genius idea to do them with a Hamon, that fancy wavy line of hardness, by clay quenching them like some ancient samurai wannabe. Spoiler, by the time I tapered and beveled the edges, most of that Hamon got ground into oblivion, because nothing says artisan craftsmanship like accidentally erasing your own work. But fear not, my dull-witted disciples. The edge still clocks in at a razor-sharp 60 Rockwell, while the spine's all soft and forgiving, making the whole thing tougher and more flexible than your excuses for not working out. Perfect for a long blade that needs to bend without snapping. All right, Ironheads, now that you're all caught up on my metalworking soap opera, complete with billet drama, Hamon heartbreak, and client curveballs, let's get to the part where I pretend I'm an artist instead of a glorified blacksmith with anger issues. We start by hosing down this blade with red dicum, that magical goop that's basically spray paint for perfectionists, turning the whole thing into a crimson canvas so my scribbles don't vanish like your motivation on a Monday. Then, with the precision of a surgeon who's had one too many espressos, I lay out the grinding lines, those sacred boundaries that'll guide my grinder like guardrails on a highway to sharpness. Because nothing says pro like marking your territory before you start chewing through metal, am I right? Or are you still lost in the Damascus fog? What am I doing here? You ask with those blank stares that scream, I peaked in shop class. This is me straightening and softening the tang. After laying out those grinding lines like a toddler with a crayon, it hit me like a hammer to the thumb. The damn thing was off to one side a smidge. Not saying I grounded a tad off center at the tip or anything. Perish the thought. I'm a forging virtuoso after all. But hey, shit happens faster than your New Year's resolutions evaporate. With the tang now all straightened out and softer than your resolve after one beer, the real fun kicks off. Grinding time, baby. Let's see if I can fix my artistic choices without turning this into a toothpick for ants. Before I dive into grinding those bevels like a caffeinated beaver on a mission, I zero in on the shoulders for the guard, because nothing ruins a knife faster than wonky shoulders. And trust me, I've got enough asymmetry in my life without adding more. I'm grinding them square with the aid of my trusty high-carbon grinding guide, that unsung hero that's basically a metal babysitter, keeping me from turning this into abstract art. Once I'm done pretending I'm Michelangelo with a grinder, I whip out a square to double-check that my guide didn't sneak off for a smoke break mid-grind, because paranoia is the mother of perfection, or at least fewer lawsuits. All clear? Sweet. Now it's beveling time, baby, where the real edge gets born, sharper than your comebacks after 3 cups of regret. Listen up, Ironheads, because grinding an Arkansas toothpick is like trying to thread a needle while riding a unicycle on a tightrope over a pit of alligators, blindfolded after 3 shots of espresso. Keeping those 4 bevels even and that center line straighter than a politician's lies. It's a nightmare that demands the patience of a saint and the steady hand of a neurosurgeon, or else you'll end up with a wonky mess that looks like it was designed by a drunk Picasso. Don't get me started on the practice required. It takes more reps than your failed gym memberships to master this without turning your blade into an abstract sculpture of regret. Oh, and let's not forget the rite of passage. Every newbie forger, including yours truly back in the day, grinds a forest's worth of crooked center lines before finally nailing one straight. It's like how you lot probably dated a string of disasters before realizing mirrors exist for self-reflection. That said, you could pull this off on one of those budget 2x72 grinders if you're a masochist with infinite time and sandpaper. But why suffer when my glorious 2x72 Ameribrade grinder makes it feel like cheating on easy mode? Praise the heavens for this beast. It's built like a tank with attachments smoother than a con artist's pitch, from the precision platen that hugs your work like a long-lost lover, to the variable speed that lets you dial in perfection without breaking a sweat. Ameribrade, you magnificent machine. You've saved more blades, and my sanity, than I can count. Hats off to your engineering wizardry. Yeah, it's a bit on the spendy side, but let's call it what it is. An investment if you're serious about knife and sword craft. The cost isn't just justified. It's practically a steal when you factor in how much time and frustration it saves you. Plus, how else am I supposed to justify my I'm not cheap, I'm efficient lifestyle? Let's face it, if you're cutting corners on your grinder, you're basically admitting you don't love yourself or your knives. I mean, come on, this is amateur hour. In my opinion, the 2 most important tools in your arsenal are the right forge and the right grinder. But hey, that's just my take. Think differently? Fantastic. Flex your creative genius in the comments section. I'm dying to hear why you think duct taping a belt sander to a lawnmower is somehow superior. In the meantime, I'll be here, blissfully grinding away on my Ameribrade, living my best knife-making life and enjoying the sweet, sweet sound of efficiency. Ah yes, the hand sanding struggle. A rite of passage for every blade maker, and the reason I've seriously considered a career in pottery instead. But not anymore, because this time I've brought in the big guns. Enter the reciprocating machine you see me using in this video. I've got high hopes for this thing, mainly because if it doesn't work, I'll have to admit I spent money on a glorified vibrating table. So far though, it's looking promising. Is it a miracle worker? Maybe not, but anything that saves me from hours of sanding-induced existential crisis is already a winner in my book. Knowing my luck, it'll either be a game changer or just another overpriced paperweight. Stay tuned for that thrilling saga. After what feels like an eternity, or at least a full day plus overtime, of hand sanding this blade into mirror-like perfection, because apparently the forging gods demand endless elbow grease, we're finally at the mercy mission, taping it up like a fragile heirloom to shield it from the horrors of scratches and scuff marks that could undo all that tedious toil faster than a rogue speck of dust can crash the party. Yeah, because nothing says Fun times like watching your hard work get nuked by Murphy's Law. Better safe than sorry in this scratch-prone saga. Now let's talk about the guard. I wish I could tell you I meticulously plan out every guard design with blueprints and calculations. But the truth? I just wing it and let the knife gods decide. Most of the time it works out great. Divine intervention, maybe. And the times it doesn't? Well, that guard takes a one-way trip to the island of misfit parts, never to be seen again. Problem solved. Remember when I heated up that tang, straightening it out and turning it softer than your spine during a tough workout? Yep. Here's the punchline you've been waiting for. Without that end of the tang getting all pampered and pliable, threading it for the pommel nut would be about as easy as herding cats on ice skates. Damn near impossible, unless you fancy mangling your tools and cursing like a sailor with a stubbed toe. The handle is another little mystery every time I build a knife. It's like I'm hosting an HGTV show called Handles That Don't Exist Yet, and I'm both the indecisive designer and the stressed-out client. But as the knife starts taking shape, so does the handle design. This particular knife practically screamed for a stacked leather handle. Who am I to argue with a blade's demands? For all my leather stacked handles, I go full-on overkill. First, I glue and press everything tight, because nothing says professional craftsmanship like a death grip. Leather is an awesome material. It feels amazing in your hand and can take a beating without batting an eyelash. But I don't stop there. After carefully shaping the holes in the leather to fit the tang snugly, I slather the metal parts in Vaseline. Don't laugh, it's a pro move. Then fill the handle with epoxy. Why? Because zero give between the handle and the other parts is the difference between a custom knife and a wobbly disappointment. This extra step also means the owner can disassemble the knife for cleaning. Because let's be honest, if you're using this blade properly, it's going to get messy. There you have it. Overthinking and over-engineering at its finest, all in the name of durability. You're welcome. All right, folks, this is the part where I shamelessly beg for your attention. That's how YouTube works, right? So be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment below. I know. It's a lot to ask. But hear me out. The dream is to grow this channel and have you keep showing up for my chaotic knife, sword, and other steel forging antics. To make it happen, I need your help. Share these videos like you're spreading the secret to free pizza. Tell your friends, your family, and that one coworker who always talks about starting a blacksmithing hobby, but never does. Behold, Ironheads, now that the epoxy is finally dried, because patience is a virtue even metal mocks us for lacking. You'll see the genius behind slathering Vaseline on those steel parts, like they're auditioning for a slip and slide championship. We unscrew the pommel nut with all the drama of a spy movie gadget reveal, popping off the pommel itself. Then, we flip the blade over in the vise like a pancake on a lazy Sunday, and give the guard a few cheeky taps to free the handle, leaving behind a flawless tang-shaped mold inside. That's not just picture perfect, but also beefs up the handle's strength, turning potential weak spots into forged fortresses. Who knew grease could be such a sneaky hero in this metallic melodrama? Time to level up, Ironheads. Now we're morphing this handle from boring old round to a sleek oval. Because who wants a grip that's as unpredictable as a greased pig at a county fair? This shape upgrade delivers killer indexing when you grab it, turning your hold from a guessing game into a precision play. And what's indexing, you ask? Like it's some ancient forging riddle. It's that clever design trick where the handle's contours clue you in on the blade's orientation without peeking. Like your hand's got built-in GPS, ensuring the edge points where you damn well intend, instead of fumbling around like a blindfolded amateur in a dark alley. Genius for safety and swagger, because surprises are great for birthdays, not blade work. Drumroll please, Ironheads. Here we are at the grand finale before assembly, hot bluing the guard, pommel and pommel nut, like they're getting a fiery spa dip in some alchemical potion, all to slap a protective coat on that steel and fend off the rusty villains of oxidation. Because nothing caps off this metallic epic quite like turning your hardware a sleek blue-black hue, ensuring it stays pristine longer than a cat's grudge. Practical magic at its finest, if I do say so myself. Now it's time for the grand finale. The finished details of my rendition of the classic Arkansas Toothpick. Buckle up, blade nerds, because here come the stats like we're running down a player profile in a fantasy league. The blade length? A glorious 12.25 inches, perfect for making a statement or carving a roast, depending on your vibe. The handle measures a comfortable 4.25 inches, giving you a total length of 17.75 inches, including the guard, pommel, and pommel nut. Yes, it's big, but let's face it, that's the whole point of an Arkansas toothpick. Blade width, a robust 1.52 inches. Blade thickness, a chunky 0.31 inches at the ricasso, tapering to a sleek 0.1 inches at the tip. Translation: this thing isn't just sharp, it's aerodynamic. The weight, a solid 18.3 ounces, giving it just the right heft to make you feel like a knife-wielding superhero without also giving you carpal tunnel. Now for the fun part, the materials. This bad boy is crafted from old sawmill blades and 15N20 steel, layered over 200 times. That's right, over 200 layers of steel awesomeness forged together to create something very functional and a little bit badass. Because perfection is overrated. I left a few subtle sanding marks for that. I've seen things look. Not every knife needs to be polished to the point of looking like it lives in a museum. Some blades are meant to have character, and this one's got it in spades. So, let me know what you think about my take on the Arkansas toothpick. Love it? Hate it? Want to see me try something even crazier next time? Drop a comment and let's keep the conversation going. This is Ironhead Forge signing off. Until next time, keep those fires burning and hammers swinging. Ironhead Forge out!